George W. Bush was born June 2nd, 1946, in New Haven, Connecticut, but moved and grew up in Midland, Texas. Bush went to Yale and then got a business degree from Harvard. He gained public attention by co-managing the Texas Rangers, and in 1995, he became the governor of Texas. In the 2000 election, Bush ran against Democrat Al Gore. Gore won the popular vote, but after a recount, Bush won the election 271 to 266. Bush served from 2000 to 2008, making 2 4-year terms in office. After being elected, the No Child Left Behind Act was one of his first actions of Bush in his presidency. The No Child Left Behind Act was an educational reform that aimed to improve performance in elementary and middle schools. States were required to come up with systems to test performance in math and reading, requiring annual standardized testing. So basically, if you hated those long hours in those state test rooms having nothing to do, then you can thank this act for that. You're very welcome, everyone.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
The act aimed to ensure that all children could read by the end of 3rd grade.
Yeah? And how did that work out for you?
Me don't know how to read.
You're absolutely right. Actually, the effectiveness of the act was weighed down by low funding as well as a majority of the teachers' union opposing it.
Thank God.
Who even is this Shakespeare guy anyway?
The U.S. Patriot Act was the acronym for Uniting and Strengthening America by Providing Appropriate Tools Required to Intercept and Obstruct Terrorism Act. Yeah, no comment on that. This was passed in 2001 in order to prevent terrorism in the U.S. by identifying and punishing potential terrorists. It split into 10 titles. Title 1, Enhancing Domestic Security Against Terrorism. Title 2, Enhancing Surveillance Procedures. Title 3, Obtainment of International Money Laundering. Title 4, Protecting the Borders. Title 5, Removal of Obstacles to Investigate Terrorism. Title 6, Providing for Victims of Terrorism, Public Safety Officers, and their families. Title 7, Increasing Information Sharing. Title 8, Strengthening Criminal Law Against Terrorism. Title 9, Improved Intelligence. Title 10, Miscellaneous Provisions.
Dude, did you hear about the new Patriot Act the president signed in a few months ago?
Yeah, that's crazy.
They claim that they've killed 2/3 of Al-Qaeda leadership, and they've removed 500 people linked to 9/11 from the U.S.
I can't believe it. That's great.
Hey, what's that guy doing over there?
Oh my, he looks so sketch.
Yeah.
Let's go check it. Sir, we're gonna have to ask you to put your baggage on the scanner and walk through the metal detector.
Okay.
What the?
Dang it.
Sir, we're gonna have to ask you to go to further inspection for the safety of the passengers.
Okay.
Man, if it wasn't for the Patriot Act and all the security checks that went along with that, we might have had another incident like 9/11.
I know, right? And speaking of 9/11...
Good evening. Today, our fellow citizens, our way of life, our very freedom came under attack in a series of deliberate and deadly terrorist acts. The victims were in airplanes or in their offices, secretaries, businessmen and women, military and federal workers, moms and dads, friends and neighbors. Thousands of lives were suddenly ended by evil, despicable acts of terror. The pictures of airplanes flying into buildings, fires burning, huge structures collapsing, have filled us with disbelief, terrible sadness, and a quiet, unyielding anger.
In the weeks after the attacks, Bush became this public figure the public knew they could trust. Democrat or Republican, it didn't matter. All of Congress gave Bush their wholehearted support. This gave Bush permission to do anything to take down the terrorist networks. 9/11 increased everyone's awareness about terrorism. As a result, Bush targeted Afghanistan in order to bring down the Taliban, a group protecting al-Qaeda terrorists. On October 7, 2001, the war started with U.S. and British airstrikes on the capital of Kabul. With the support of the airstrikes, the U.S. Army Special Ops, the CIA Special Activists Division, and the anti-Taliban Northern Alliance, Kabul was reclaimed in about 2 months.
We must storm the city and capture bin Laden. You're surrounded. Drop your guns and surrender.
The Taliban was driven out, but bin Laden escaped. A government was created under the rule of US-backed Hamid Karzai. It was Bush's first victory against terrorism.
But Bush ignored Afghanistan while he turned his attention to Iraq, allowing the Taliban to recover and start launching counteroffensives against the Americans.
That is true, and that wasn't the last time Bush would neglect a war.
Wait. Bush, you want to send troops into Iraq, which has no known connection to 9/11, on the grounds that they might be seeking nuclear weapons?
Yeah?
Okay, whatever.
3 weeks later.
We must celebrate. Baghdad has fallen.
Well, maybe you should have secured the city. We're being looted all over the place.
Bush left Baghdad unsecured, and enemies were using the weapons looted to kill American soldiers.